can see your face upon the windshield as I'm rolling through the night. You're sitting by a fire with a fuzzy blanket wrapped around you tight. This is just a short run, and I'll be home in just a week or two. But I can see in the windshield, reminds me that you love me, and soon I'll be coming home to you. Well, I saw you in Chicago in a truck stop on a cold and rainy night. And when that waiter smiled at me, honey, you looked really out of sight. As I rode it to Toledo, I thought I'd stop and sleep a wink with you. But I can see in the windshield, reminds me that you love me, and soon I'll be coming home to you. I thought I saw you walking down a busy avenue in Philly town. And the way that you were walking, I guess you knew I had to be way down. I know I'm only dreaming, but you sure did look an awful lot like you. I can see in the windshield, reminds me that you love me, and soon I'll be coming home to you. Well, today I make my turnaround, soon I'll be headed north to you. The weather's getting awful bad, but I know that I can pull it through. I recall that fuzzy blanket, and I know that there is room for two. I can sleep in the windshield, sitting by the fire, and I'm coming home to give some love to you. I can see in the windshield, sitting by the fire, coming home to give some love to you. He was a truck driving man. By each morning, and then he would be on his way with a little pleasure along Highway 80. It took him 9 days to cross the USA. Now sometimes he was a little confused, walking around like he was in a car. He couldn't remember all their names, and so he wrote them all down in his log. He was a truck driving man. This cat, he had 9 wives. A wife in every state from Carolina to California, and he took all the women's whole ride. Then one day it had to happen. He ran off the mountainside. They looked at his log and they found 9 women had to be notified. The women, they came with all their children. Each one looked and said, "That's my pa." The women, they finally agreed that they were just widows-in-law. Now that the funeral is over, his belongings were divided up. You ought to have seen those little women cutting out that old diesel truck. He was a truck driving man. This cat, he had 9 wives. A wife in every state from Carolina to California, and he took all the women for a ride. He was a truck driving man. This cat, I was out on the West Coast, trying to make a buck. Things didn't work out and I was down on my luck. I got tired of roaming and bumming around, so I started thumbing back east towards my hometown. Made a lot of miles first 2 days, and I figured I'd be home in a week if my luck held out this way. But the third night I got stranded way out of town at a cold, lonely crossroads. The rain was pouring down. I was hungry and freezing, done caught a chill, and the lights of a big semi topped the hill. Lord, I was sure glad to hear them air brakes come on, and I climbed in that cab where I knew it'd be warm. At the wheel sat a big man. He weighed about 210, and he stuck out his hand and he said with a grin, "Big Joe's the name." And I told him mine, and he said the name of my rig is the Phantom 309. I asked him why he called his rig such a name, and he said, "Son, this old Mac can put 'em all to shame. Ain't a driver or a rig running any line that's seen nothing but taillights from the Phantom 309. Well, we rode and talked the better part of the night when the lights of a truck stop came in sight, and he said, "I'm sorry, son, this is as far as you go, because I got to make a turn just on up the road." Well, he tossed me a dime as he pulled her into low and said, "Have yourself a hot cup on Big Old Joe." And then Joe and his rig roared out into the night, and nothing fled, he was out of sight. Well, I went inside and ordered me a cup, and I told the waiter that Big Joe was setting me up. Well, you could have heard a pin drop. Got deathly quiet, and the waiter's face turned kind of white. "Well, did I say something wrong?" I said with a halfway grin. He said, "No, this happens every now and then. Every driver in here knows Big Joe. But son, let me tell you what happened about 10 years ago. At the crossroads tonight where you flagged him down, there was a busload of kids coming home from town, and they were right in the middle when Big Joe topped the hill. Could have been slaughtered, but he turned his wheels. Well, Joe lost control, went into a skid, and he gave his life to save that bunch of kids. And there at the crossroads was the end of the line for Big Joe and the Phantom 309. But every now and then, some hiker will come by and like you, Big Joe, give him a ride. Here, have another cup. Forget about that dime. You can keep that as your souvenir from Big Joe and the Phantom 309.
The driver of a semi-rig from Delta to the coast of Maine. And every truck driver and transport man, well, they all knew Big Mac's name. He stepped into a diner by the scales where he stopped to wait. Took one look at the waitress there, and we all heard him say, "Pour me a piece of coffee, pass me a cup of bread. You're the sweetest thing that I've ever seen, and there's a ringing in my head. Make my eggs a medium rare, overleave you with my steak. I'm gonna buy you home in Texas, yeah, if it takes every cent I make." Staring at Big Mac, kind of in a state of shock. She told him what she said, "His orange juice down, be careful now, it's kind of hot. I've already buttered your coffee, and toast is in your cup, and your French fried soup and scrambled prunes will soon be coming up." She took off her apron, grabbed the coat down off the rack, took Big Mac's on, told the boss, "I'm a quitting and I won't be back." She climbed up in that diesel cab, all pipes were spouting smoke. Somebody said Big Mac just time, it ain't no joke. Pour me a piece of coffee, pass me a cup of bread. Ain't the prettiest thing I've ever seen, and it's ringing in my head. Make my eggs and medium rare, hold easy with my steak. I'm gonna buy you a farm in Texas, gal, if it takes every cent I make.
Said I'd have to go down to the offering, and the fellow there said I'd have spring. That's what he said. He said we've been sold out for months and months, and this poor insane fellow wants a front row seat to hear old Johnny sing. Well, he said a couple more things, and I started crying. And then he laughed at me, and that was when I started to swing. Well, I bust through the doors in a roaring rage, crawled over the crowd till I reached the stage for a front row seat to hear old Johnny sing. Hey, John, you walk the line. They'll do you one more time. That rich man is on the line. Then some crazy guard started shooting. I shot back, and next thing I knew, I was winged on the floor. When a guy in a voice kind of deep and low said,
Boy, that's a mighty long way to go for a front row seat to hear anybody sing.